Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new edition of KerVAM, a Doctor Who podcast where, well, we talk about all things Doctor Who. Let's be realistic. Generally, we try and talk about the DVDs and the Blu-ray releases of Doctor Who, and we will be getting back to lots of those. I know the War Games in Colour has been released recently, the Savages has been released recently, and I'm sure there'll be a new collection box set to come as well. But there is a new season of Doctor Who recently released just a couple of weeks ago. And so, of course, we've got to come on a podcast and talk about it, just like we did last year, just like we did for Flux. And I'm sure we will do in the future, assuming there is Doctor Who in the future. Dun, dun, dun. So, sorry we couldn't be with you last week, but today we're going to be chatting about the first 2 episodes of the new season, The Robot Revolution and Lux. Now, I'm joined as always by Charlie, Bill and Ryan. And I feel like, guys, coming into this season, we were pretty down on it. We were pretty like... The hype levels were pretty low. So 2 episodes in, Charlie, do the hype levels feel a bit better, a bit higher? Are you still kind of underwhelmed? How's just the general vibe after 2 episodes?
I'm definitely more excited for the rest of the season than I was before. Because before, I wasn't really expecting it to be bad and definitely not hoping it to be bad the way I sort of thought Flux would not be great. But I was just kind of complacent. I simply, I knew I was going to watch it because it's Doctor Who. I'm going to watch every episode of Doctor Who that comes out. But I really just didn't care that much about it. I was just, I'll sit down, I'll watch it, see what I think. I watched episode 1. It stayed pretty much the same. I have zero idea on the consensus of these first 2 episodes. I've literally not been on Twitter at all. I have zero knowledge of anyone else's opinions on these.
Love it.
But episode 1... yeah, not a huge fan. Still watched episode 2, and I thought it was pretty great. I thought, this is actually a nice return to form. Probably the biggest disparaging quality between the first 2 episodes of a season, maybe since like series 5.
Okay.
We're talking like a 9 out of 10 and like a 5 out of 10.
Okay.
It's quite a big difference, but. I think obviously I'm not going to go too deep into the rumors about episode 3, but I definitely think if the quality of episode 2 sort of continues for the rest of the season, we're in for quite a nice season 2, maybe one that's better than season 1 if they stick the landing, because as we remember from last year, then it I think the general consensus is we liked episodes 3, 4, 5, 6, and then. Well, we liked 7 too, and then 8 happened. And then Joy to the World was just kind of okay. But I mean, so far, I'd say 50% of episodes this season have been good. So
I like that.
We'll see. I'm still a bit wary about the rest of the season. We've got is it episode 6? That's the Interstellar song contest.
Eurovision one. Yeah.
I'm can't say I'm excited for that, but I'm definitely going to be watching it because I just want to see what it's even what's going to happen. But I think these first 2 episodes is a very strange start. Annoyingly, I kind of think it would have been better if this was a doubleheader and season 1 wasn't. I think this would have been a better doubleheader than season 1, which was just kind of Space Babies and the Devil's Cord, and both of them were kind of not that great. Whereas this one, it could have been, this Robot Revolution episode wasn't that good, but then Lux comes in and is quite good, I think. I'm not sure what you guys are thinking about the first 2 episodes, but I think Lux was pretty great.
Love it. Well, I mean, straight off the bat, I did enjoy the Robot Revolution. I did actually think it was a really good opener. I don't think it's the best Doctor Who ever, but I did actually really enjoy it, and it just felt very Doctor Who-y, for want of a better word. I can't quite define what that means, but it just felt like a good episode, a good normal episode of Doctor Who, and a bit more of a fun and engaging opener than what we saw in Space Babies. So I think that made quite a big difference. And Lux is top tier Doctor Who, in my opinion, as well. So I feel like the strike rate's been very good for me so far. 2 episodes in, and I have gone from 0% hype to 30% hype, maybe 40%. I don't know. I'm still not going to say a huge, but I'm more looking forward to the rest of the season than I was. So Bill, where are you sitting after the first quarter of the season?
Yeah, I agree that Lux is kind of the better of the 2. The Robot Revolution was still kind of fairly enjoyable for me, though. I think it was mostly just the few occasional moments that, like, as per usual with some of Russell's latest scripts, kind of have those very strange moments. Kind of like it's kind of his style of humor. I think in some of the recent episodes can sometimes be a bit like, I find it funny, but it's also kind of like very out of left field and very just kind of sudden.
Yeah.
I think we probably know what I mean exactly by that in terms of the villain's fate, shall I say? And
Yes.
yeah, that general kind of thing. But I enjoyed that. I mean, instantly, I've really enjoyed Belinda's relationship with the Doctor a lot
Yeah.
because to me that has been, whilst I do think maybe maybe they did become a bit too pally at the end of Lux a bit too easily. I could understand why that was the case and everything. But it's been a lot more, I think, fleshed out and a lot more just developed than 15's relationship with Ruby was last season, because that just felt like they were literally just riffing off the relationship Shooty and Millie have in real life with each other and not really thinking much in terms of beyond that, trying to develop, trying to push them or anything like that. Whereas with Belinda, there's still obviously that aspect of like um two best friends kind of, or two, I suppose, kind of relatively, they're still kind of strangers to each other, but they're becoming, I think, fast friends. But obviously there's also the added aspect of Linda's not there by choice. I mean, she's kind of, I think she's gotten to the point now where she's enjoying being in the TARDIS, but she's still very much wanting to get home. And I'm not necessarily like holding out much hope in terms of the finale and how it kind of answers all of that, because I don't want to get burned like I did last season with Empire of Death. But if it is even slightly okay in terms of resolution, in terms of that, in terms of Mrs. Floods, in terms of all of that kind of stuff, that's I'm sure there'll be even more stuff that will get be eased as we go further along in the season. As long as that kind of gets a semi-decent kind of resolution, then I see that as already much better than last season and a definite improvement. So yeah, Robot Revolution, I would say probably like a 6, 7 out of 10. Like, it wasn't amazing, but it was fine. Like, it was above average, and it was a nice, slightly strange introduction for a companion, but kind of like it was, as much as like Belinda again is like kind of another mystery box companion, there's still kind of, in her first episode, was introduced in a slightly different way, in that she gets this whole planet named after her and everything, and how that ties into a star certificate. That's all quite interesting, quite different. And then with Lux, yeah, it was definitely the better one of the two. There's just a certain moment in it which I was expecting, but I don't know. I mean, I didn't mind it in terms of as an idea. It's the execution of it which I wasn't too sure about.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll discuss that, I'm sure, later on.
And I'm pretty sure we all know what scene you're referring to,
Mm.
as it's the main talking point, I feel like, of that episode. Okay, cool. And Ryan, finally, before we get properly diving deep into Robot Revolution, are you happy with the first 2 episodes?
It was interesting coming into this season because we were hyped about RTD2. The 60th anniversary came, and while there was fun to be had, it didn't quite reach those peak heights of something like the 50th anniversary did for me. And last season, well, it was pretty kind of up and down. I mean, I thought Devil's Cord and Rogue were fun, we had, of course, the 3-way triple whammy phenomenon. That was Boom, 73 Yards, and Dot and Bubble.
Yeah.
When it came to the finale, in retrospect, all the stuff with Sutek I did enjoy, even if it was rushed, how they defeated. I thought I enjoyed that stuff. However, in retrospect, all the other stuff like the mystery of Ruby, and especially how they explained it at the end, yikes. So yeah, because of that whole mystery, it didn't match everything, and because the explanation was god awful at the end, it did leave a little tiny bit of a sour taste, especially after enjoying the Sutex stuff. And I was really and I wasn't that hyped coming into the season, as we all know. And a bit of a shock confession: I actually forgot Doctor Who was coming back on until my niece reminded me.
Oh dear, that's how done with it you were. You didn't even know it was happening.
I forgot about it. I mean, I knew the date, but I just kind of forgot about it for like until my niece reminded me like a few days before. And I'm like, that's never happened to me before. It was just kind of
even in the depths of the Jodie Whittaker era, that didn't happen for you.
no.
Wow,
No.
there you go. There you go. We're not even at the stage of it's like bad. It's almost that stage of just apathy towards the show, isn't it? Where we're just kind of like, it's there. Can't remember it's really on though.
And it's a shame because again, I was really hyped for RTD2, but now if it's gotten to this stage, it did have me worried. I'm not gonna lie, especially now that there've been like all this chat that's been going on endlessly online about, are we approaching another wilderness years? Is coming there being a hiatus? And it's just all this non-stop chat about what's going to happen to the future of Doctor Who past this season, and is Shooty going to leave at the end of this season? It's just been non-stop. And so, but I went to with an open mind. I really did. I generally did not want to go into season wanting to hate it, or I wasn't, even though I was feeling a little bit of apathy towards it, I really did go in wanting to enjoy it. And with Robot Revolution, it's better than New Earth and Space Babies. It's definitely better than those two.
Yeah.
And that's not really saying much, honestly. It's an episode that I think gets through on visual spectacle alone. For me, Robot Revolution is a case of style over substance. For me,
I wouldn't disagree.
And I think that was out by the visuals, but nothing much else. Honestly, I mean, as we get into it, I really like Vara de Sethu. I mean, I've already liked going into it, not just from Boo, but also Andor as well. She's really good in that, and I was really excited for her. I think it's an interesting dynamic that they established. It seems more interesting than what happened with Ruby. I think the thing is with Ruby, as soon as they meet, they're instantly besties already. And they just stick with that throughout the entirety of that first season. If it's like, well, if that's really just consistently all that there is, then there's not much there. Whereas I feel like their relationship could be up and down a lot in the season. So that seems more fascinating to me. And even though there's that, Robot Revolution, as we'll discuss into it is very much a all surface but no depth episode story for me. I mean, yes, it's better than Space Babies, but then again, anything would be better than Space Babies, let's be honest. But with the books, I think it's a good companion piece a little bit to the Devil's Cord almost. It's kind of like they followed a similar structure where you had this light throwaway opener, and then you have this out-of-the-box historical episode that involves a god being, and and I think it's in a way it's a kind of a semi-sequel to the Devil's Cord almost. And I will say, Lux is definitely, I think, a better, more consistent story than Devil's Cord. I will say. I mean, and look, I actually think I was kind of blown away a little bit by Lux, honestly. It did kind of restore my hype a tiny bit. It did get me more positive. I mean, obviously, as we're going to discuss, I think some of the stuff Lux does is some of the most boldest and just weird out of the box stuff I think I've seen the show do. And I was kind of a little bit blown away by it, honestly. I mean, and so it's a very interesting companion piece to the Devil's Cord because again they follow kind of a similar structure. Even though I do think actually this is slightly better than Devil's Cord, and if the rest of the season does have this level of quality, even with the 2-part finale, then I will be happy, even if the rumours are true, and we could end up having a hiatus after this. If only if that's true, it would be a bit of a shame if there was a hiatus, because it's like, oh, they're starting to find their tune a little bit, and then this happens.
It's season 26 all over again.
Yeah, absolutely, like the Sylvester McCoy era.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree with you. I was watching them back today, and I was just thinking, having sort of felt before the series when all the talk was of, is the show going to carry on? I was kind of thinking, if it stops, it stops. I'm not really too fussed. It's not very good at the moment. And now I'm 2 episodes in and going, wow, I actually really like this. I really don't want this to be the last season of Doctor Who. Like, this is actually quite good. Because I feel like, I mean, it's a pointless kind of thing to have, but I feel like 2 episodes in, this is the best series since Capaldi's last season. So far for me, 2 episodes in. But I know it's pointless. It's 2 episodes. Like, if it were to sustain this level of quality for the whole way through, it would definitely be the best season since Series 10. Maybe Series 9. But that's a real positive start, I feel like. So, Charlie, I'm going to come to you as probably the most negative person on the Robot Revolution out of the 4 of us. Was there anything that you did like in the Robot Revolution, or was it just a pretty negative story overall?
It's not terrible. It's not that bad. It's more just the fact that I watched. So I watched this. I was kind of similar to you, Ryan. I did forget that Doctor Who was coming back until the Saturday night after it had been released all day since like 8 a.m. or whatever. And I just was sitting there at like 10 o'clock at night, and I was thinking, oh, Doctor Who's out, isn't it? I might as well watch it. And I did. And then I just waited a week, and then I watched Robot Revolution and Lux back to back. So the main negativity probably comes from the fact that I watched it right before Lux, and the difference between them is quite big. But no, it's not awful. I think Belinda is a great companion, definitely better than Ruby. Which, as much as I like Ruby's personality in the show, it's not difficult because there's zero actual dynamic. It's just they're friends. There was like, we were saying this throughout the podcasts last year, that there's basically no conflict between them at all, ever.
Literally,
it's literally just they're friends. She's kind of basically a Clara too. Obviously, Clara became a bit better in Series 8, but 7B Clara was just not really much personality, just a mystery box for the Doctor to solve. I'm hoping Belinda doesn't just become the third one, because she is kind of a just mystery box companion as well. But there's a lot more conflict there. She's not as sure about the Doctor. We have the scene at the end of Robot Revolution where she's like calling out the Doctor. She's kind of saying like, you tested my DNA without my permission and all of that, and she actually wasn't happy. Is that what you say to all of them? Like that was quite funny, because it is true. He just goes around and just picking these companions up. That was quite entertaining. There's actually conflict between a Doctor and companion, and as much as we don't like the Chibnall era, there was actually that in with 13 and Graham in everyone's favorite episode, the Battle of Ramscorov Kolos. We do actually have that there. We don't in season 1, so
it's true.
There's that's what Series 11 is better than season 1.
There you go.
No, it's not terrible. I think style over substance is the best way to put it, Ryan. It's just kind of, it looks very nice. It made me quite sad that the planet wasn't Skaro, as we were kind of thinking from the trailers. I don't know if we're going to see a Dalek this season either.
So
we'll have not seen them for over 3 years, and not seen them fully in an episode for at least 4 years, which is pretty crazy, really. It's kind of a Genesis of the Daleks, Destiny of the Daleks kind of thing. We just don't have them for like 4 years or whatever. Yeah, but no, it's not awful. I think the sort of the middle act is the best part, which is the conflict and the fighting and all of that. Ruby, Belinda getting introduced to the Doctor, that was all great. But I think the whole thing about the AI generator actually being Al and him being revealed, I thought, what on earth is this? This is like a Doctor Who parody. It kind of all fell apart in that last, I mean, I'd say 10 minutes, but it was more like 20. The reveal seemed to happen way too early into the episode. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it
It's very
revealed him,
sad.
and I was thinking, there's no way it's only just started. And I paused it, and there was still like a solid 20 minutes left of the episode, which did seem a bit weird. But there was all that stuff at the end, you
Yeah,
know,
I
going
think
to
it
the
was
TARDIS.
mainly that because I was looking when I
Yeah.
was watching it again. I think it was about 8 minutes to go when they're standing by the TARDIS about to go into it. So it's like it's quite a long scene they do right at the end with the whole what's going on with the universe. Why is there weird stuff happening? Why can't we go to 24th of May and all that? But yeah,
I can't be the only one who kind of doesn't care too much about that plot line, and I'm kind of just like, whatever. It's going to be something to do with the finale two-parter, obviously. You
yeah.
know, with Ruby and Unit and all of that. I can't remember. Is it like the Wish Well and the Reality War or something?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
that a
Wish
two-part?
World and Reality,
Yeah.
the Reality War. Yeah,
Wish World. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. And there's. I can't even remember all the episode titles for this season.
Right,
I know episode 4 is Lucky Day or something.
yeah. The next one is The Well.
The
And
Well.
then
That's it.
I can't remember
Yeah.
what episode 5 is because episode 6 is Interstellar Space
Yeah,
Contest
yeah.
or something.
Episode 5
Yeah.
is The Story in the Engine, I think it's called.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
That's meant to be like a historical episode as well, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, Robot Revolution, it's not terrible. I think, yeah, it's better than Space Babies and New Earth, and maybe The Woman Who Fell to Earth, possibly. I didn't love that episode, but
Yeah.
it's not amazing. It's just that final act that it just kind of all falls apart. But the whole overarching storyline with the 24th of May and all that, I don't know. I kind of just want to see Doctor Who stories. I feel like after the story arc with Ruby's mum we had last season, it kind of just made me not want them anymore, because if the payoff isn't perfect, it's just going to be so disappointing after 8 episodes of constantly teasing things.
Yeah.
I think we can all agree that Mrs. Flood is going to be a big part of it, because she was obviously in Lux in 1952, which kind of confirms the fact that she must be like, I feel like she's got to be Susan. Like, I know everyone's thinking Susan Twist was Susan, but she's got to be Susan. It just, or it's like, you know, the Rani or something, but that's just a cliche. You know, every female time traveler in Doctor Who is the Rani.
I really hope it isn't the Rani because it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, my current favorite theory is that Mrs. Flood is a harbinger for the gods of Ragnarok, who are going to turn up at the end, because the Doctor is actually in a TV show, and at the end we're going to find out that they're the ones watching Doctor Who the TV show, and it's all going to get very meta. That's my favourite theory currently, but we'll see.
I feel like if that's the last scene ever of Doctor Who, that would be quite something, because it actually could be for a few years, which would be quite hilarious, actually. Just a random callback to a Sylvester McCoy episode from 1988, but that's Doctor Who for you. But yeah, anyway, Robot Revolution. I mean, we'll do the proper, out of 10 at the end, but probably like a 5.5, maybe. It just left a really bad taste in the mouth the first time I watched it, and did not make me excited for the next episode at all. But it's not the worst season opener of New Who. It's like 12 out of 15, which doesn't sound amazing, but it's better than Time in the Rani, just that.
Yeah. And I hope we have no Rani action this season, please. I don't need the Rani back. Like, it's just not necessary. So Bill, have you got any more positive thoughts on the Robot Revolution?
It's difficult to think of positive ones that I've not already said.
Okay, well, we talked about the visuals, and we think the visuals are great, right? We agree.
Yeah. And
we like the Doctor and Belinda. They're a great team. Another great aspect of the story. We generally don't like the resolution. Do we agree? The reveal of Alan Budd and that whole thing was a little bit cringe, shall we say?
Yeah. It didn't really surprise me though, in a way.
No, I agree. But like the setup, the initial kind of robots coming down to Earth, taking Belinda away, the fact that the planet's called Miss Belinda Chandra, I thought all that stuff was quite cool, quite fun. And the whole idea of the robots can't hear every 9th word, so the Doctor to speak in every 9 words. So I thought that was a really clever little device to put in at the start of the story. Although I feel like they could have utilised that more through the episode than just twice, basically. I don't know. I feel like that's covered quite a lot of the positive things, hasn't it, really?
Yeah. There is then a negative aspect, which I do need to discuss, because I'm surprised it hasn't already been mentioned. Sasha 55.
Waste of time character. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the point? What was the point?
You see, this is I knew like from the second that she got disintegrated that Shooty was going to cry about it. I mean, I feel like it's just become a meme at this point with him crying. Like, I get it, and I understand that, like, in context, let's say in this context, the doctor has, known her for about 6 months or whatever. Fine. But we never actually see any of that time. They just kind of tell us, oh yeah, I knew her for 6 months because I got here because of the time fracture stuff. And it just feels like, why don't you just quickly, like, because they had flashbacks of towards the end of like Alan being picked up by the robots and stuff. Why not have a quick flashback or two, just a little montage of a few seconds, just being like the Doctor and Sasha together, even just that, or have her stick around for longer would have worked a lot better, I think. And yeah, the crying again, it's a difficult one because like I don't mind the idea of the Doctor crying. And obviously it's that whole aspect of like a male character crying is like trying to tell us men that, it's okay to cry about stuff and everything. I get that. But also it feels almost like when it happens, and it has happened in literally every episode so far, at least once. It just feels like, in terms of dramatic kind of stuff, it just loses all that, and it's just kind of like, oh yeah, there's another crying moment for him. That's
I do get that.
That's just kind of what you expect with the 15th Doctor at this point. Like, I understand if it's like a acting choice by Shooty or whatever. I fully understand that and appreciate that, but honestly, I just think if we could just get even just an episode or 2 episodes where he's not crying at all, that would, and just try and save it for like the bigger moments, like that moment at the end of Dot and Bubble, obviously, and at the end of even like towards, I think it was sometime during Empire of Death as well, when he's like seen the entire Earth being wiped out and everything by Sutek. That even made some kind of sense as well in that context. But yeah, just don't have it in every episode. It's like that's I don't know. I understand probably what they're trying to do with it, but at the same time, it's just it's just not being executed right, I feel.
Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, it's not really something that personally like bothers me. I don't really sort of think about it when I'm watching the episode. I just sort of see someone on social media go afterwards, oh look, there's another episode the Doctor was crying in. And I feel like if we didn't know that they'd all been made ages ago, you could go, oh, well, Russell's kind of just doing it for fun now because he knows that's what the fans expect. But obviously, all of these episodes were made before any of Shooty, well, apart from the Christmas special of last year, no, 2023 Christmas special, apart from that, nothing was shown basically before everything had been finished being made. So there's no kind of correlation there. So yeah, I get it. It is. I think it would be probably better if they saved it for the more emotional moments. I do agree. It kind of loses a bit of weight. But yeah, it's not something that sort of actively bothers me when I watch the episodes. I'm kind of just like, I guess that's just the character choice they've made. That's what this Doctor's going to be like. Every Doctor's different, and that's okay. So yeah, that's kind of how I approach it, really. Yeah.
I feel like there's no way to like, because the thing is, like, when David Tennant or Matt Smith cried in an episode, it's like, oh damn, this is really bad for the Doctor, and you actually feel sorry for them.
Yeah.
Like, David Tennant, Matt Smith, Peter. He must have done at some point.
He was in "Husband's a River" song, and when he's getting starting to get teary a little bit because he knows this is his last time he's going to be with River Song, which is one of the best moments. And to be fair, Shooty, there were only 3 moments where I thought, like you, earlier, I don't really have a problem with it. But for me, there were really 3 moments that it actually perfectly made sense. Him getting emotional, Shooty getting emotional, boom, because of the stakes, the tension.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's now rivaling 73 Yards as my favourite episode of last season now, because the more I've been thinking, the more Boomer's been rising up more fondly of that story.
Yeah.
They always sort of bubble the end of that. And yes, Empire Death with, the beginning, the devastation, and also him saying goodbye to Ruby a little bit, even though I didn't feel like we properly earned and built up to that moment. It was an effective final scene. I will give it that. And so I feel like those were the only times it kind of worked. Other times, like especially here, I don't think it landed properly, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll save it a little bit. And do you want me to go into it and see if I have any positives or?
Yeah, I mean, you hit us with your takes on Rebel Revolution. Please do, Ryan.
I have thought of another pause. Well, there's a few, only a few tiny ones. How they use the star certificates at the end to resolve it. I thought that was a nice way of doing it. I love the visual. That's a very
it's great.
I think easily, hands down, the best scene in the whole story. Absolutely. Thought that was great. And also, I didn't mind the polish robot.
Yeah, he was a bit of fun. I mean, reminded me of Gadget from Waters of Mars, but
yeah, I thought that robot was cute. So yeah, apart from the visuals and Belinda, those are the only positives I can think
so
of.
Is there anything negative that we haven't covered yet that you wanted to mention?
The owl reveal. Now, I didn't mind the initial reveal of the twist. I didn't see it coming. I thought, not so bad. What kind of follows afterwards, though? Yikes from that. I will say they converted Alan. He kind of looked a little bit like the Borg from Star Trek. A little.
Yeah, I can see that.
Initially, I just thought, I was like, it looked a bit too similar. And I think like some of the stuff with that, it just felt way too on the nose for me. It felt like a case of all tell but don't show almost. And some of it felt very, as I said, telegraphed and phoned in. And I'm like, and when they start literally hammering home the point of it, I'm just like, yes, we've already got it. You don't need to literally say it out loud. And it's, it's just, as I said, Charlie, it does kind of fall a little bit flat on its face with some of that reveal afterwards. And also, that hidden message of him saying, like, almost like he wants to die. It's like, it didn't really convey that at all with the performance. And, like, does he really want it all to end? Because he seems like he's into it almost. It's like...
Yeah, I know what you mean.
A disconnect with the performance and everything. I mean, as I said, it's not god awful this episode. It's not Space Babies, which is a miracle and stuff. But then again, anything's better than Space Babies. But it wasn't a good, strong first impression.
No, fair enough. Fair enough. I think I probably enjoyed it the most out of everybody, and I came away from it thinking this is a good start for the new series. Let's hope this continues and then keeps improving from there. I think it just kind of feels like just a normal episode of Doctor Who, which I think is sometimes what you need, especially when I feel like Doctor Who's done so many kind of experimental episodes, or the Doctor's not going to be in this episode or whatever, like recently. So to just kind of have something that's quite kind of normal, if slightly silly plot, but just a normal episode of Doctor Who, I think that's actually okay. And especially when we follow it up with an episode like Lux, that I think is probably my favourite episode of RTD2, I think. I would say it's right up there for me. Just on first watch, it was absolutely fantastic. Charlie, let's come to you first again. Lux, you said, was a big step up on the Rebel Revolution. So what did you enjoy about this episode?
What didn't I enjoy about this episode? It's great. I think it's not my number one of RTD2. I'd say it's probably third after 73 Yards and Wild Blue Yonder. But the fact that it's better than every single episode besides those two in the last... How many episodes have we had of RTD2 now? Like 16?
17, 18, I think, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's around that region, but it's pretty impressive. I thought it was great. At first, I think we all sort of realised before, in the trailers and that Mr. Ring-a-Ding was a member of this like pantheon of gods. We all sort of got
Knew
that, surely.
Yeah.
And at first I was very skeptical because I don't love this whole idea of we're bringing in 2 new gods per season, and I feel like when it's 2 new ones per season plus obviously the Toymaker in the 60th, it just kind of takes away from the threat when they can be defeated in 45 minutes. Well, Sutek can double that, but still, it's kind of At first I was like, are they really doing this again in an episode 2 that's a historical? Like, it just seems a bit kind of manufactured. But actually watching the episode, it's like the Devil's Cord if it was way better. And actually doing it right. I think it's, it wasn't very it is a historical, but it really doesn't follow the formula of one at all. Because, it's basically set across like a couple of hours, really.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's very, very small scale. There's not many sets at all.
Yeah.
It's kind of just the cinema outside, the diner, and, well, a living room of Doctor Who fans.
One of our own living rooms.
Yeah. I might as well just get to that scene because that's kind of the scene of the episode. For better or worse, it's very strange. I didn't really know where they were going with that. It doesn't really take away from the episode as a whole. I love the whole experimental fourth wall breaking type of thing. It did annoy me how they were all watching Doctor Who with like Tom Baker scarves on and like nobody does that.
But that was the point because they were fake ones created by Lux. So I think it was kind of meant to be even more Doctor Who than you'd kind of expect.
Yeah, and the collection box sets out of order on the shelf. I don't know if you noticed that.
That was the biggest crime of this episode, was putting the collection boxes out of order. And I'm sure they did that on purpose just to annoy our podcasters. Absolutely.
Yeah, they absolutely would have done that. Like, whoever designed the set wouldn't have just gone, we'll just plonk these in a random order.
No.
They definitely purposefully thought, let's not do them in the right order.
Yeah.
And obviously having the DVD like box sets that you can get, they just had the covers of those. And I think generally we don't do that. We take them out and we put them in proper order.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely.
Exactly. But that scene was quite something. The whole animated sequence, I expected to last longer. I thought that would be like a solid 10 minutes, and it wasn't, I guess for budget reasons. But that was pretty cool. I think the visuals again looked really nice here. Like the CGI, I think, is a big step up. Even from last year, we have the whole sequence of the regeneration energy and Mr. Ringading slowly becoming more realistic. And I thought he looked great. Like the really creepy, realistic version of him. I thought that looked amazing. It was a very nice surprise after, the robot revolution for me. And a sort of testament to how to do a sort of pantheon of gods 45-minute long episode. I say right, Devil's Cord wasn't terrible, but this was definitely, kind of Devil's Cord done right. And Lux in general as a villain is pretty great. You love to watch it. I think probably my second favorite of these new set of villains we've got after Neil Patrick Harris's Toymaker, of course. Yeah. But there's not really many villains that's beating him. But overall, very, very good. A solid 9 out of 10. It's great.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with everything there. Really, I think it's a fantastically crafted story. I just remember watching the openings, like the pre-title sequence for the first time, and just thinking, this is so Doctor Who. This is such a creepy mystery, kind of really invites you into the story. There's this crazy new villain. It's such a great way to just start and take you straight into an episode. I thought that was such a good way to do it and just set up the whole mystery. And then when you have the Doctor and Belinda arrive in 1952, they go around, they start exploring and investigating what's going on. It all just felt so this is what Doctor Who is. This is what it should be. A Doctor and companion that have a great relationship that you actually buy into, arriving somewhere where some disasters happen, there's an alien thing there, they sort of stumble upon it and then have to investigate it. That just feels like how Doctor Who should be to me. I felt it was so just classic how it should be. So that was a really great way to start the episode. And then Charlie, you've said many other things that are great about it. I also do agree with you that the gods thing is too much at this point. I really, really hope that I mean, let's be real. We're going to win another one in the finale. It's obviously going to be another one in the finale. That's going to be kind of the. But I really hope that is like the final boss, as it were, the final one. Because also, as you say, Charlie, the Doctor just defeats them every time. So they're not very godlike or very good if they just all get defeated very easily by the Doctor. Like, you kind of needed one of them that we've had already to actually kind of win and defeat the Doctor a bit, or at least survive, to kind of not take away any legitimacy of, like, these gods are so all-powerful, more difficult to defeat than anything the Doctor's ever come up against, and yet he's just quite easily defeated all of them up until now. So I feel like that hasn't been done quite right. But Ryan, what did you think of this episode?
I absolutely loved it. I was surprised how much I did love it. I will say, in terms of the Pantheon of Discord, what you mentioned there, I will say, looking back at the Giggle and Devil's Cord and this, how they're kind of all related to gods, it kind of makes the whole Sutek thing a bit more frustrating, because it was like half Sutek, half Mystery of Ruby Sunday stories fighting for screen time, and I was like, I would much rather have it all be Sutek, and watching Lux made it that much more frustrating, because it was all about this particular threat, as opposed to the whole Sutek thing, where it was like that was only half of the story, and it was like fighting for screen time with the Ruby Sunday mystery, and the whole defeating them thing. Even though it didn't take away from the enjoyment of this story, someone made a good point in that, with the exception of the Giggle and even the Sutek finale, Devil's Cord and this, despite the fact that they're god beings, it's kind of small scale, the story, despite how big and outlandish these gods are, how powerful they are. It is very self-contained and small scaled a little bit. I mean, with the Toymaker, he was literally like messing around with the minds of everyone on Earth, and with Sutek, well, he practically wiped out the universe, and it's so weird that with Maestro, and it's very self-contained in this like one area almost.
Yeah, but I think that isn't necessarily a bad thing, because I think we also criticise Doctor Who for making the end of the universe or the end of the world too regularly. As we saw, I'm sure we said that after Empire of Death, is like, oh, do we really have to go straight into doing the end of the entire universe again? We've already done that. So it's that difficult balance between these are all powerful god beings, so actually the whole of the universe should be at stake, but also it's kind of nice to have a story where it's just about saving 15 people / the Doctor and Belinda like this. I think that actually works quite kind of in its favour.
Yeah, as it didn't take away from the enjoyment of the story. As I love the story. I think Lux Imperator is, again, just like Maestro in last season, just one of the best new additions to the show. And just like how Jinx Monsoon was so large in life and brilliant as Maestro, Alan Cumming is just the same here, even though it's only just his voice.
Yeah.
But I think the animation, both the 2D and the 3D animation, absolutely phenomenal. I mean, 2D stuff, how they managed to do 2D animation in the photorealistic world, it was just brilliant, very, very Who Framed Roger Rabbit almost. And I think one of the people who did Who Framed Roger Rabbit was also involved in this. I thought was very interesting, and the animation was well done. The 3D version of Lux at the end, boy, good old fashioned nightmare fuel.
Absolutely.
And I just loved how experimental it was. I just liked how they was willing to go all crazy with it, and like in terms of its visuals, but actually have a meaning to them, almost like the old school Hanna-Barbera style cartoon of the Dr. Belinda in this briefly, and then that initial fake out, they think they're back in the theatre, but actually they're not, and then the fake real world with the fans. I just thought it was really well done, and even though sometimes the musical score does threaten to drown it out almost at points of this story, I thought I was initially worried when they into the real world, but I thought they executed it as best as they could do, honestly. And what I liked is that the three fans, they weren't annoying. I was worried to be absolutely annoying, and they really weren't, surprisingly. And I was kind of a bit sad when I thought, oh, they've just been faded into nothing, but then it's revealed that they're sort of alive and well again in their own little world.
Because they're the gods of Ragnarok.
Well, we shall only wait and see. I mean, that would
Yeah.
be the twist if they turns out they were the gods of Ragnarok. So, yeah, my only real major criticism was the fact that it does feel very rushed, the whole resolution of the Doctor and Belinda's relationship. I thought this whole, you know, like, are they going to be friends? Are they not? Dynamic. I thought that was going to play out for a few more episodes, but I think, and this is the one thing that does have me concerned, is that we're going to end up with this exact same real problem that we had with the last season, is that it needed more stories. It needed more episodes. It just feels rushed and not enough time to develop. And again, it just relates to the fact that I think we would have probably had a conflict between the Doctor and Ruby somewhere if they had more stories in between that season. And it's here. It's the same here. Like, I'm sure we would have seen more of the will they, won't they be friends dynamic of the Doctor Belinda had there been more stories. And again, it doesn't completely take away from this story isolated by itself somewhat, even though it is following Robot Revolution. I mean, I still really enjoyed it, but that was the one thing that did bug me. And like, wow, you instantly become friends at the end pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll have to see whether that kind of does continue, how fully that continues through the rest of the season, because I feel like maybe in this next episode, Belinda will have a really traumatic experience, and then she'll be like, just take me home. Like, just, I'm done with this now. Like, actually, sure, I had some fun in Miami and whatever, but this upcoming episode looks quite, like, dark and serious, and I feel like, you know, maybe something traumatic will happen, and that'll kind of recreate that tension, because the Doctor still physically can't take her back home. And so I think I do get what you mean, and I think it was definitely a problem in season 1. But I think until we've seen the rest of the episodes, we kind of don't know whether that's going to be a problem yet. I'm really hopeful that actually an element of that conflict is going to continue through multiple episodes sort of to come before the finale, where obviously it'll all come to a head.
Yeah, and I know this probably won't happen. I mean, again, depends if they renew this Disney deal, whether they don't, or whether there's a hiatus window. If they do find a way to make a new season, I hope they take some of the feedback on board and give us more stories. Don't have it be 8 episodes. And to be honest, I'm really struggling to call this a full proper season if it's only just 8 episodes. Honestly, because it's a shame, because I think like this shorter episode count is what holding the Shooter era back, is the fact that we have the shorter episode counts. But despite all this, I still really enjoyed this story. Is it better than Wild Blue Yonder, Boom, or 73 Yards? For me, probably not. But I think it's on a par with Dot and Bubble.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's on a par with that. I think this is definitely one of the strongest stories of the RTD2 era. If Robot Revolution was like a 5, maybe even a 4 out of 10 for me, this is definitely a 9.
Okay. Brilliant. And so, Bill, is this 9 out of 10 level for you, or is it not quite there? I know you mentioned you had some reservations about the, should we say, meta scene in this story. So, yeah, how did the story strike you as a whole? Is it a 9 out of 10, and what were your issues with that specific scene?
Yeah, I think, you see, it's difficult because I don't want it to seem like I didn't enjoy the episode, because I did on the whole. Like, I was really enjoying it for the most part. Pretty much until that scene.
Yeah.
And even then, it's like, do I mind Doctor Who being meta? No, I don't mind. I wouldn't even have minded if it had been a bit more kind of, dare I say, mean-spirited towards the fans in some ways. I wouldn't have necessarily minded that if it was kind of like, you know, done in a humorous enough kind of way. I think, to be honest with you, I think my main issue with it is the fact that I know that they're not real fans.
Okay.
I know that they're just actors playing fans. And so it's kind of like some of the dialogue, it sounds great on paper, but then when it comes to like the realization of it, it's like it comes across like, I don't think the actors are trying to make it seem like this, but it comes across a bit inauthentic because they're actors. But then, if you did it the other way around and had them be actual fans trying to act, it probably wouldn't really work. So it's kind of like, it's a tricky scene, I think, to do. I was surprised with how much time it took up. I was expecting it to be kind of more just like a quick minute of like a quick little like gag, and then they're straight back into the void screen. But it was, I think it's just the fact that then you've also got like Murray Gold's music swelling up really loudly towards the end of that scene as well.
What's from series 5?
Yeah, and I love that. I love that music. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, I don't know. It just took me out of the rest of the episode a bit, and then afterwards, I was then kind of like, oh, so it's kind of like, for the most part, I was enjoying it. Then we got to that bit, and then after that, it's not like my enjoyment was still there, but it was like I'd been distracted basically from the rest of the episode by that. And so then when it got back to the stuff going on with Lux and everything, it was just kind of like, oh yeah, this is what's been going on for the rest of the episode, isn't it? But saying that, like, beyond that, I would say it's a pretty strong episode. It is definitely the better of the two, I would say. And I really liked it. I'm again like, I don't really mind like the pantheon of God thing going on, but I can also understand what you guys are saying in terms of like being careful with how many times it's done, and especially with trying to get it all wrapped up in 45 minutes. Yeah, there's a real danger in terms of like these supposedly godlike beings getting defeated way too easily. I mean, in this episode, I was kind of expecting Lux to, I don't know if it was just me, but I was expecting Lux to get defeated by like something involving darkness, because obviously darkness, opposite of light, etc. And then when it turns out, oh no, he's just absorbed the energy of the sun, and he's absorbing too much light, and now he basically is light now, like everywhere in the universe all at once. It's not necessarily like a bad way of wrapping it up, but it's just, it wasn't what I expected. And it kind of again felt like it kind of came out of left field a bit. But yeah, I would still say like I would definitely rewatch like this episode a lot and get a lot of enjoyment out of it, especially with Alan coming as Mr. Ringading. Like he's just amazing in this. And yeah, I do have a feeling that we're going to get probably at least one more god before the finale, because I think in episode 5, I think there is that kind of spider god like thing that's been rumored to be a god.
That might be episode 5. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure the historical.
We'll have to see with that.
We'll have to see. Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, I would kind of like. It sounds like I do like the god stuff, but also I wouldn't have minded, like, for example, with Robot Revolution, if the Daleks had been there, even if it was very briefly, like, at this point, like, as much as I don't mind them being given a rest and whatever, and I think it's fine for Russell to be like, I'm going to mainly use new stuff. I think it would have been good, especially if Shooty really is leaving at the end of this season. And he's been very vocal about how much he wants to go up against the Daleks. It would feel like a real shame if he did leave and he was one of the few doctors that never even got to face them. That would feel quite sad. But yeah, just hopefully he will stay on for longer, and because obviously, like with these seasons being as short as they are, they go by so quickly that then, it's just hoping that he stays on, really.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, by the end of the season, he will have featured in 19 different episodes, which is like a season and a half in the earlier New Who days, really. Chris Freckleson did 13 in one season, and yet Shooty will have been there for since 2023. So 2 or 3 years, and yet only done 6 more episodes. So I don't know. I mean, talking with Lux, my biggest gripe with Lux is the fact that they used a cue of Amy's theme for some reason, when they had a scene with Belinda in the TARDIS, and there was 5 seconds of Amy's theme playing there. Why are we playing random characters' themes for an emotional moment? I think that's just wrong. I am very unhappy. The music of Doctor Who is very important to me, and so we shouldn't be using the wrong character themes. But there was a bit of there was a bit of the Gallifrey theme in there, though. I don't know if you spotted it anywhere, but that was in there as well, which is very nice. A few little musical Easter eggs from Murray. Well, let's quickly go around. I think we've pretty much all said it, though. I think so. Charlie, 9 out of 10 for this one.
Yeah, pretty much. I think
And-
10 is just reserved for the very, very top, but 9, yeah, very, very good.
Yeah, and Robot Revolution.
I'll give it a 6.
Okay.
It's
generous.
mainly just like lowered in my compared to the first watch, because I watched it right before Lux, and the contrast is quite something if you watch them back to back. But yeah, 6 out of 10, I say.
Okay, and Ryan, Robot Revolution.
Yeah, Robot Revolution on a nice day, 5 out of 10. If I'm being harsh, it would probably a 4. Yeah,
Okay.
but since I'm in a better mood and it's on a nice day, I'll give it a 5.
Okay, and Lux is still a 9 out of 10.
Yep, still 9.
Yeah, and Bill, for you.
Robot Revolution, I think I said earlier, 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
And then look. Well, this is going to sound like there's not much difference between the two of them, but obviously there is.
Yeah.
I'd probably go with like an 8.5
Okay.
out of 10.
Okay. Still high, very high.
Yeah, it's still pretty high. Yeah, I really liked it, and
Mhm.
surprised we didn't mention this actually. Just thinking about it now, like the segregation mentions as well.
Yeah, very true.
I felt
very
like
true.
that was,
Yeah.
kind of. Obviously, it's not the main focus of the episode, but I felt like that was done pretty well, really. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think it is mainly just the bit with the fans, and more just not even necessarily the idea of it, just more the execution of it, which it's just a difficult one, I think, to get right. And it's kind of one which, obviously, as fans, like, we either kind of are okay with it and can take on board any kind of anything that is trying to be implied by that, but some of us probably kind of won't feel as positive about it, I think. It's a matter of personal opinion, really, isn't it?
No, absolutely, I agree with you. So I think for me, Robot Revolution is a 7 as well, and then Lux is a 9 out of 10. So a really strong start to the new season, I think. Compared to Space Baby, that's probably a 3 or a 4 out of 10, and Devil's Court, that's maybe a 7 on a good day. That feels like quite a step up, doesn't it? And I must just say, with the whole meta scene, I like it, and I feel like for many years I've just had this idea in my head for a Doctor Who story around the whole idea of the Doctor realizing that he's in a TV show, and I've never quite worked out how that story would play out, but I've just always for the last 10 years just had that idea in my head of, if I was ever going to write Doctor Who, I'd do a story where the Doctor Who finds out he's in a TV show called Doctor Who, and how would that all play out. So I'm kind of hoping that they pick it up again and it becomes like a big story of the season or something, but it probably won't. It was probably just this moment. And yeah, Bill, I kind of agree that it wasn't perfectly executed, but I think it was also a very hard thing to do. And
I'd love it if they were a Gods of Ragnarok.
Yeah, I know, it's just hilarious. It's a hilarious idea. I really like it. Yeah, I don't know. Well, just quickly before we go, our excitement for the rest of the season. Charlie, are you pretty looking forward to it for what we've got to come with The Well and episodes beyond?
Yes, I'm still a bit kind of confused about what episode 6 is actually going to do. But
I think it's going to be like, I think from what I've read, or what I understand from interviews, it's basically going to be like The Haunting of Villa Diodati, where it's its own story, but basically leads into the finale. So, I mean, I don't quite know what it's going to be about, but I think it will be quite an important, and unfortunately, quite an important story.
Yeah. It's very intriguing, but The Well looks pretty great from, just the little Next Time trailer we got. It looks pretty amazing. Obviously, knowing what the story is kind of based on. Very intriguing. I really hope it lands. It kind of looks a bit like Impossible Planet Satan Pit as well.
Yeah.
In the sense that you've got the Satan Pit and The Well. Who knows? We could have another another god in this pantheon. You know, we've got the beast coming back again. That'd be fun. Just like 4 gods in a season, it seems.
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
That's very RTD2, really, isn't it?
Well, exactly. Exactly.
I mean, if that is true, and we have another god in episode 5, and we have one in the finale, that would be like 6 gods in the space of 19 episodes, which is
it's a lot, isn't it?
It kind of reduces the threat of them when there's one every 3 episodes. But
yeah, and the Doctor defeats people, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's quite sad to see that this might actually be the last Doctor Who season for a while, and Mr. Ring-a-Ding being quite prophetic in the show ends May 24th, because it basically does.
Well, let's hope that this is all just a big marketing ploy, and the whole plot of the series is about how it's going to end, and then actually no, the Doctor saves the day and also gets the show renewed. That's my favourite theory.
Exactly. It is very worrying that there's not an announcement for another season still, and we're getting this on broadcast. Has that ever happened in Doctor Who where we don't know if there's another one as we're watching, I guess, series 13?
Yeah, no.
Even then, we knew about Russell.
No, Russell was
a couple of months before.
Yeah. It was just kind of while they were filming series 13, I think, that it felt all a little bit doom and gloom, kind of in early 2021. Yes. But yeah, after that,
it's like
was fun,
September. I think RTD was announced in September 2021, and then Flux started a month after. So it was more optimistic, even though we were seeing Flux. But
yes,
the rest of the season does look quite good, though. I feel like it will be better than season 1 overall. Yeah, but who knows? I might have just jinxed it.
Well, we'll see. And Bill, much excitement for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I as someone that actually quite likes Eurovision, I'm looking forward to episode 6.
Yeah, no, I do
because of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's some interesting kind of ideas I think being explored, and particularly, I think beyond that, I'd say episode 4, where it looks like it's going to be more about Ruby and what she's doing now that she's back on Earth. I think that'd be really interesting to see, kind of catch up with her, and just kind of hopefully getting a better finale than we got last year. I'm really hoping.
Absolutely, that's what it's all going to be about, isn't it, Ryan? I think the finale, we almost nothing matters until the finale happens, because we know that will define whether this series is good or not.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as I said before, but I think in looking back, the whole problem with that last year's finale was you had the whole mystery of Ruby Sunday on the one hand, and the whole Sutek stuff on the other. And I was more into the Sutek stuff than I was with the mystery of Ruby Sunday. I think that really dragged the whole thing down for me, that whole mystery of Ruby Sunday and how the explanation of it. When I was really into the Sutek stuff, even though how they defeated Sutek was rushed, I was really into it and all that. It's just, I wish they just did the whole 2-parter about Sutek. I would have enjoyed it so much more than I did, but they felt so much time dragging out this mystery, which ultimately didn't amount to that much in the end. And I hope they don't do the same thing again, where you have these two sorts of almost conflicting stories that are fighting each other for screen time. I hope they don't repeat the same mistake here. I'm hopeful for the rest of the season. I mean, as I said, the next episode looks very interesting.
Yeah.
If it is going to be a sequel to a certain story, that I'm curious how they're going to try and pull that off. It's going to be fascinating to see. Episode 4, I think that could be another Dr. Light episode where the Doctor will be in it, but only in very few scenes, and it's just all about Ruby. And again, episode 4, all about Ruby, same as last season. It's all about Ruby's 73 yards, and hoping just as good as 73 yards. We're all hoping. I don't know. Again, virtually nothing about episode 5 and 6. Those are the ones I'm kind of like, they're pretty much nothing about, really. I mean, I heard that episode 5 might be a historical story, and that episode 6 is kind of like a utopia, haunting of Villa Diodati kind of. So it initially seems like it's standalone, but it's really set up for the finale. So I am hopeful that the rest of the season is good. I still think my overall problem is going to be the same as it was last season, that it needed more episodes to breathe, to kind of be immersed in this, era more. the fact that it is these shorter seasons just kind of hampers kind of the arcs, the character journeys, the development that is, I think, is desperately needed. And it's not a very good situation when it is shorter seasons. And I think Shooty's making the best out of this bad deal that he's been given, these shorter seasons. And if the rumors are true that maybe he is going to leave after this, I hope at least they give him a few specials, at least to go out on, to really make sure he doesn't get an abrupt ending, it's just going to be a real shame that if he does leave and this is his last series, he is going to be one of the shortest Doctors we've ever had, alongside Eccleston and Colin. It's going to be a real shame, and also the fact that there is no Christmas special this year. I had to tell my niece that there's going to be no Christmas special this year. There's going to be no series next year or Christmas special until next year. And then she was like, "What? What?" It was, It's a strange time to be a Doctor Who fan. It's fair to say.
Yeah,
I think it's very weird that the last episode of RTD2 could be the war between the land and the sea, because that is still happening.
Yeah, it's done. It's all filmed. Yeah. It's in the can.
It just feels very weird that's the last. It's like the last episode of Doctor Who being like Torchwood Miracle Day or something. It's just so random.
It'll probably end on a cliffhanger as well, won't it?
Yeah. Yeah,
exactly. It's like all good spin-offs. Got to end on a cliffhanger and then never come back.
Yeah, the main reason why I don't want Shooty to have a sort of abrupt ending and then we just have the 16th Doctor is the amount of season 2B theories we're going to get, like a 15-point fifth Doctor potentially. I'd like to see the regeneration the same way we sort of did with Power of the Doctor. Just give Shooty a nice special in like 2027, and then get him regenerating at the end of that, setting up for a season later that year or something called season 3, not called like the new series 1 again or something.
Yeah, this is the problem. If they go back to series 1 in the future again, it would just be a bit silly.
It'll be even more awkward if they call it series 16 and we just have Flux season 1 and 2, then series 16. It's just a mess. They need to carry on with the seasons for like forever and just carry on with it.
Or I mean, maybe they go down the Doctor Who Flux route and just name each season something instead. To season A maybe instead, just to try and make it different. Go a bit Blake 7 or something and do it that way.
It's so funny that the war between the land and the sea is going to be the last one. I remember before the 60th, Russell was hyping up that they were going to launch the Who-niverse. We're going to do all these crazy stuff, multiple seasons of Doctor Who, multiple spin-offs, and at this point in time, it looks as though those plans could be, cut short. We've probably just got this 5-episode spin-off, but that's going to end up being the only thing, and that's it.
Well, indeed. Well, ultimately, none of us know what's going to happen. You never know. We might get to the end of this season. A week later, they go, we're renewing it for 2 new seasons. All the scripts are written. Great, we'll start filming next week. And it's all happy days. It's not going to happen like that, but we can but be hopeful. And we still have 6 more episodes of this season to enjoy. Plus, as you say, 5 episodes of The War Between the Land and the Sea. So, in the present, it isn't terrible, even if the future doesn't look so bright. But I think we've all enjoyed these first 2 episodes on the whole, and relatively optimistic for what's to come for the rest of the season. So I feel that's a good point to end on a positive note rather than a negative note, which I think is very easy to do with Doctor Who at the moment. So that is just about all we've got time for on this edition of the podcast. We'll be back again next week to review The Well. I'm hoping to do it weekly from here on in. That's certainly the plan for the rest of the series. But from me, from Charlie, from Bill and from Ryan, it's goodbye for now.